This time you're eating paper. Next time it's gonna be glass.
Most of the celebrities in the cinema are surrounded by various legends, but the real record holder among them is Bruce Lee. He was a personality that, even half a century later, forces people to discuss a lot of things. Today we will find out what the martial artist was really capable of, and look at the most amazing facts of his biography. Let's get started. The 1-inch punch. Can you imagine the following? Minimum effort, maximum destructive force, and all this happens only from a distance of 1 inch. This phenomenal strike has become the real hallmark of Bruce Lee's arsenal. The technique was based on his philosophy of martial arts, Jun Fan Gungo, where he argued that true strength is not in muscles, but in the ability to accurately direct a blow. Lee demonstrated this technique in training and in his films, each time mesmerizing the audience with his skill. Aside from his legendary 1-inch punch, Bruce Lee's punches were incredibly strong. The people who held pause for training with him are always delighted with his power. They just retreated a few meters after each forceful blow. It is worth noting that a standard boxing bag weighs about 50 kilograms, but that wasn't enough for Bruce Lee. He had to use special bags weighing up to 135 kilograms to keep them stable during training. But his phenomenal skills weren't limited to just punches. Bruce Lee was known for his incredible strength and flexibility. For example, he could easily do push-ups on 2 fingers, which amazed all the fans and made him a truly special athlete. This trick became a symbol of his unique approach to training and demonstrating strength. Bruce Lee was so confident in his skills and reactions that he often sparred blindfolded. This was admired by his students and training partners. For Lee, it was a way to improve his senses and reactions, sharpen his intuition, and increase his concentration in battle. This unusual approach to training was one of many ways in which Bruce Lee demonstrated his brilliance as a fighter and martial artist. In 1958, the legendary fighter Bruce Lee won a school boxing tournament in Hong Kong, demonstrating his talent and anticipating his future in the world of martial arts. However, despite his successes, Lee faced constant trouble and fights on the street. This forced him to leave Hong Kong and go to the United States of America, where he wanted to find new opportunities. Staying in Seattle, Bruce Lee spent 5 years striving to improve himself and reach his potential. At the beginning of his stay in the USA, he had to work as a waiter, but even in such conditions, he continued to train hard and look for his way to success in the world of martial arts. But let's talk a little bit about the very beginning of his biography. Bruce Lee was born on November 27, 1940 in San Francisco, USA. His father, Li Huichuan, was a Chinese opera singer, and his mother, Grace Lee, was a Chinese judge. As a child, Bruce Lee spent a lot of time in Hong Kong, where his parents often returned. He was the 4th child in the family and showed an interest in martial arts from the very first years. His father inspired him with a love of Chinese culture and traditions, and his mother paid much attention to his education. As a child, Bruce Lee also showed an interest in acting, which became one of the vectors of his future career. Bruce Lee began his acting career in Hong Kong, participating in films and television series. He quickly attracted the attention of the audience with his unique style and talent. One of his most famous acting roles was the role of Kato in the television series The Green Hornet, which made him famous as an action actor and martial artist. Bruce Lee was known for his incredible speed and skill in combat. His punches were so fast that many opponents could neither dodge nor defend against them. His technique was so excellent that he could land several punches in a split second, leaving his opponents literally without a chance to win. Bruce Lee's favorite weapon was the nunchaku. However, few people know that he was also a skilled ping pong player, and that he could play the game using nunchaku instead of a racket. Such an unusual skill was another example of his unique talent and incredible coordination. His ability to play ping pong with the nunchaku still impresses even modern players. Lee was known for his incredibly intense workouts, which included various aspects of martial arts, physical fitness, and spiritual development. One of the important stages of his training path was being taught by teacher and master Ip Man, who was a famous master of the Chinese martial art Wing Chun. Under his guidance, Bruce Lee improved his skills, developed his technique, and delved deeper into the world of martial arts. Lessons from Ip Man had a significant impact on the formation of Bruce Lee's style and approach to training, and this period is considered one of the most important in his combat career. The Dragon Flag is an exercise for the core, which has become the invention and hallmark of Bruce Lee. During the execution of the Dragon Flag, a person lies on his back on a flat surface and supports his body by lifting it into an upright position, creating a straight line from shoulders to feet, while the rest of the body remains stationary. This exercise perfectly developed the strength and stability of the body, which was an important component of Bruce Lee's training program. Bruce Lee developed a new martial arts system which he called Jeet Kune, which translates from Chinese as the way of intercepting a fist. This system represented a flexible and adaptive approach to martial arts, combining the best aspects of various styles, including Wing Chun, boxing, and kickboxing. Jeet Kune reflected Bruce Lee's philosophy that true martial arts should be free from formal restrictions and ready to adapt to any situation. This suited his belief that every fighter should develop his own style that suits his individual abilities and needs. Adaptability has always been his main philosophy. Here, for example, is an excerpt from an interview where he compares a person to the element of water.
Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Here is a clear example of a real fight between Bruce Lee as well as his philosophy. He used not only punches and kicks, but also elements of wrestling in order to defeat an opponent. But in order to invent his own personal style of martial arts, he did a great job not only learning other styles, but also becoming a real master in them. Now take a look at his average parameters, namely the height is 170 centimeters, 5 pounds 7 inches, and the weight is 63 kilograms. Bruce has never been afraid to go out to fight bigger opponents, both on screen and sparring in real life. For example, here is an excerpt from the famous scene where he fights Bolo Yang, another action legend. Can you imagine that Bruce Lee used catching rice with Chinese chopsticks as one of the exercises in his training program? His reaction was so perfect that he could easily and accurately intercept the rice falling into the plate. This exercise required not only speed of movement, but also maximum coordination, which made it an ideal practice for developing skills in martial arts as well as in everyday life. Be sure to try to do the same, maybe you can do it too. Bruce Lee was so fast in martial arts that the cameras of that time often could not capture all his movements and punches. Cameras shooting 24 frames per second just physically couldn't catch his fastest punches. This added legend to his skill, creating an image of an unsurpassed fighter whose skills exceeded the limits of ordinary human perception. For comparison, his record was 9 punches and 6 kicks in just 1 second. It's incredible, isn't it? This is the famous coin trick that confirmed his speed. He passed the coin to another person who tried to cover it with his palm, but Bruce Lee instantly snatched it back before the coin could touch his hand. This trick perfectly demonstrated his incredible reflexes and unique skills. But despite such a physically developed body, he could not avoid health problems. One of the most serious problems was migraine attacks, which sometimes became extremely painful for him. In addition, he had back problems that sometimes prevented him from training and working. His physical activity and intense training could put additional pressure on his health. Towards the end of his life, Bruce Lee faced problems with sleep disorders and stress caused by an intense work schedule and constant pressure in the film industry. In the 60s and 70s, many successful Hollywood stars turned to Bruce Lee for advice and martial arts training. One of Bruce Lee's most famous supporters and students was Stephen McQueen, a famous actor who showed an interest in martial arts and turned to Lee for help in learning them. Other famous stars who trained with Bruce Lee were James Coburn, James Garner, and even Sharon Tate. Their training sessions with Bruce Lee not only helped them in their careers, but also strengthened his reputation as an expert in martial arts and an excellent trainer. Even though Bruce Lee is known primarily as a martial artist, many do not know that he also showed an interest in dancing. In particular, he was passionate about the Cuban cha-cha-cha dance. Lee believed that dancing helped him improve his coordination and flexibility, which in turn had a positive effect on his fighting skills. Even though this hobby was not as famous as his martial arts prowess, it still highlights his versatile talent and commitment to self-improvement. Bruce Lee was a proponent of the concept of focusing on one goal at a time rather than multitasking. He believed that true mastery is achieved through deep and complete immersion in one thing or skill, instead of spreading your attention to many tasks at the same time. Lee believed that this approach allowed him to achieve the highest results and efficiency in what he was doing. There is a legend that Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali met in a duel, but in fact, such a duel never happened. Even though both athletes were legends in their fields, Bruce Lee in martial arts and Muhammad Ali in boxing, their paths never crossed in an official duel. This legend probably arose from the desire of fans to see a fight between two great athletes of their time. However, in reality, their meetings were limited to conversations and mutual respect for each other as sports icons of their time. During the filming of The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Bruce Lee and a very young, unknown Jackie Chan found themselves on the same set. In this brief meeting, Bruce Lee suggested that Jackie Chan perform a punch in the frame to make the scene more dramatic. It was a brief but significant moment that both actors remembered and later became part of their legendary legacy. Very often, Bruce Lee brought a special shield to the filming of the film, and his entertainment was to ask someone to hold this shield in order for Lee to hit it. By doing so, he tested the resilience of a person, even though many literally had to fly high into the air. Lee loved exercises with his own body weight so much that he could pull himself up on one arm, and according to some sources, he did it more than 50 times in one approach. But of course, what else could we expect from the guy who beat Chuck Norris himself? The confrontation between the two legends took place in the Coliseum, and you can see this scene in The Way of the Dragon movie.